Know that many of you have been visiting us here in our home in Telliskivi, and some of you who have not made their way here yet, we are offering you an opportunity to come and join us live today. And we can't wait to open our doors physically so that you can come once again to visit us, but today we're doing it virtually. Hi, I am now standing in Fotografiska's third floor gallery space in the Tom of Finland's exhibition, The Darkroom, which we produced in collaboration with the Tom of Finland's Foundation in Los Angeles. And the reason why we chose this exhibition to be the first for our live tour is very simple. Today would have been actually the last day for all of our guests to come and visit physically this exhibition. But of course, with these new circumstances, we're no longer able to do that. So therefore, it gives us extreme pleasure to bring this exhibition to you virtually. And before we actually dive into these amazing works by Tom of Finland, I would like to introduce you to the man that is behind these iconic drawings and the man that we know by the name Tom of Finland. Please meet Touko Laaksonen. And Touko Laaksonen was born in 1920 in Finland, which means that today, or this year, we're actually celebrating his 100th anniversary, which makes this exhibition even more spectacular. And it is my great pleasure that today I will be joined by my good colleague from Stockholm, from Fotografiska Stockholm, Bernd Arell, who was also the curator for this exhibition. But before I welcome in Bernd, I would like to invite and encourage all of our viewers to participate actively like you would in a normal tour and actually send us some questions that you are interested about. You can do this via Slido app, and the information you will find on our YouTube channel for that. But now, hello Bernd, can you hear us?
Almost there.
Hello
Hi.
Bernd.
Hi.
How are you? How is Stockholm?
Sunny. Stockholm is sunny and nice today, but I do miss you guys and I do miss the exhibition. But this is one way of sharing it.
We miss you too. But without any further ado, let's get started. And you, as an art historian by profession, you're also an art critic, and you've led several different museums, both in Finland and also in Sweden. And you are very familiar with the works of Tom of Finland. One would easily call you an expert on his works. But nonetheless, this exhibition here actually opened up a completely new side to Tom of Finland that you maybe not even knew about. Can you tell us a little bit more the background story of how this exhibition came to be and why is it so unique?
Yeah, you're really right there. One thing is that I know everything about this artist because I made several shows and wrote articles about him. But this is really a totally new part of his artistical work. I didn't even know that it existed. And actually it wouldn't be there without Fotografiska Tallinn, because we were discussing future plans last year with colleagues there, and then this came up. But could we look at Tom of Finland maybe? You worked with him before, or with his art before, and I said, yes, I can ask if the foundation in Los Angeles, if they have material, because I didn't know. And actually neither did they know. They said that they might have enough material for an exhibition, but let's talk about it. And I went there and we together looked through the archives and the files and the not filed works, and we found 130 unique pictures, photos taken by Touko Laaksonen, by Tom himself, of which most of them are vintage prints that he made himself, but they have never been shown before as individual works of art. So this is like a really world premiere for Tom of Finland's photography, and I'm so proud that it could be in the new Fotografiska Tallinn, one of the first shows there.
And the name of the exhibition, it's called The Darkroom. Can you shed a bit of light as well, because why was the exhibition called this way?
Well, the obvious thing is a darkroom. You need a darkroom to make photos, to print photos. And with this kind of material, Tom couldn't, I will call him Tom from now, couldn't he had to make the prints himself because this kind of stuff was illegal in Finland in the 50s, 60s, and 70s when these are made. So he couldn't take them to a shop, a printer. So he created a darkroom in his wardrobe, in his closet, literally in his home in Helsinki, and he made these prints there. So that this is from the darkroom of Tom of Finland. On the other hand, a darkroom is a very essential place in a gay club or in a gay bar, and there were secret gay clubs or gay bars, darkrooms in Helsinki also during the time when it was illegal, and that's the other darkroom that we show because this kind of stuff belongs there too.
So, but the Tom of Finland, he never considered himself as a photographer, I understand. It was mainly a means of getting inspiration for his drawings. So it was a tool, so to speak.
So we thought, yes, always thought so when we worked with his art, his drawings or paintings. But when I saw this material and together with the staff at the Tom of Finland Foundation in Los Angeles, and the president Dirk Diener and Sharp, the vice president, and we thought that, well, these are independent works of art and they should be treated like that and shown like that. This was something new, and I feel really humble that we were able to show a totally different side of this very well-known artist.
Okay, and now moving back to the photo that we started with, which is of Touko, then it's interesting to know for the viewer that this photo was actually taken by another icon of the 70s, by Robert Mapplethorne. And next to Touko's photo, we see actually a replica of a drawing that Tom of Finland made of Robert Mapplethorne. Can you maybe tell us a bit more of what was their connection or their relationship and the importance of these two icons?
Yeah, Robert Mapplethorpe was really admiring Tom of Finland's works, and he had several ones in his own private collection. And he wanted to commission a portrait by Tom, and this is the result. So he traveled to Helsinki to meet Tom in his apartment, in his home, and then I guess they became very friendly with each other, as you can see from the photos that Tom took from this session in his home in Helsinki. And Robert then took the portrait of Touko, of Tom. This is a picture that Tom took in his home in Helsinki, and there are 5 of these left. We could find 5, 2 different sessions, 3 like more portrait-like things, and then 2, and then 3 like more relaxed, where he's sitting on the floor smoking a cigarette in front of Tom's bookshelf. These are quite unique things. I haven't seen any portraits or photo portraits of Robert Mapplethorpe like these, because they feel a little private, and it's a nice intimate like feeling between these two giants of gay art. And I'm so happy that we can present them this is really for the first time ever shown. And they are vintage prints made by Tom himself.
And this also, I think, sheds quite a lot of light on the way that Touko worked, or Tom of Finland worked. Because when we look at the drawing, then it doesn't really resemble one concrete photo, but it's sort of a mixture of all of these photos. So was that deliberate, or was that his way of working?
I think it's his way of working. You could see, or maybe you could understand this photos like they are like sheets in his diary, or he's like making notes with his camera, and then afterwards he remembers Robert's face and Robert's mood and how he was and how this meeting was, or what it was like, and I think this is the most clear series of photos and the drawing showing his way of working, and that's what we try to show in the whole exhibition as well, with 15 drawings but 130 photos. So you could when you walk around it and you look at the photos, and then later if you stop with the drawings, as we will do when we tour now, then you will remember the photos, and then you see in the drawings, you see the moods that are in the photos, but not exactly like they are not. He doesn't copy the pictures, but he uses them as like remembering the models.
So we understand that for him, taking photos was mainly a tool, and he used his photos as inspiration to make his drawings that are very iconic and that we know about. But now when we move on to the next piece, it's a bit intriguing, because how would you explain what were these collages about? Were they art pieces on their own, or are they in a similar way, like the photos, an inspiration to his drawings?
He made them himself, so these are like the collages, the cut photos and pictures from magazines and pornographic magazines or dailies, or so. He made them for himself. They are like inspirational mood boards. So there are a lot of these, and he kept them and went through them like to get inspiration for his work. But they're made by himself, and they are quite unique in that way, because he really decided to save these and to have them forever. And these have been shown sometimes before, actually, but not as independent works of art, but like mood boards, you would say.
But when we look at these collages, there are a few, let's say, characteristics that really stand out. When we look at these characters, or the men of Tom, how he liked to call them, we can see that they're very masculine. They're also dressed in a very interesting way, wearing a lot of uniforms or leather, and this, I imagine, differs a lot from the general perception of gay culture or gays in general depicted at the time. So was this his way of changing that image of gays?
Yeah, I think that's an essential thing with his art, that he's drawing, he's working with proud men that are proud of their identity, sexuality, or who they are. They are not hiding anything, and they're not trying to disguise anything. They're there, enjoying life, taking and giving, if you like, and you can see the other side of the gay community. That's also where there and still is the feminine men, the feminine guy, or men dressing up as women, like dragging. There's nothing like that in his art at all, because he's not interested in that. He has no. I don't think he has any negative opinion of it, but it's not him and it's not his life. But these are like very important role models for the gay community, for the whole gay community, all gay community. This is Tom's men, as we call them, as he called them as well.
Was he just as self-confident about being gay as the men that he draws and takes photos of, or was it his wishful thinking in a way?
Actually, I'm not the right person to say anything about that, because I never met him. But if you can understand an artist, a person through their art, then I would say yes, he's a very self-confident, very proud, very relaxed with his sexual identity.
Because I think we have to bear in mind the time when Dogo made his works and when he lived. It was a very different time than it is now. I mean, 60s and 70s, even well into the 80s, was a very harsh time for the gay community, because being gay probably was equal to a mental illness. It was never understood by the society, and you could even go to the prison. So it must have been very hard for him to, first of all, do the work he did and also be a gay himself.
Yeah, that's why he decided. I think this is one of the reasons he decided not to come out of the closet. So Touko Laaksonen and Tom of Finland wasn't the same person in the public life. I guess nobody in Finland thought that Tom of Finland was a Finnish guy. It's a pseudonym, and in Helsinki he was called. All the pictures were called like pictures drawn by the Danish guy. So everybody thought that he came from Copenhagen and Denmark.
But where did his actually the artist name Tom of Finland come from, or how did this become so popular?
In the 50s, it came from his publisher. It was first published by Physique Pictoriale in 1957, an American beefcake magazine, like for with a gay audience as well, but well hidden in sort of way for the public audience. And the publisher suggested that he should call himself Tom of Finland, and that's where it started in the 50s. There were like other pseudonyms in the gay subculture as well at that time, like Bruce of Los Angeles or other guys like that. But still, nobody thought that Tom of Finland was really Finnish.
Now moving on to the next photos, which are becoming even more intimate than the ones we've seen before. For example, the first one here is of Veli. And Veli was a very long time partner to Tom, and they stayed together many, many years until actually Veli passed away, unfortunately, of throat cancer. Can you tell us what part did Veli play in Tom's career and of course in his life?
Well, it's his lover, his long time lover and partner in life. And this is for the first. This is a beautiful vintage print from the 60s, like a little brownish with sepia color. Vintage prints by Tom himself, with beautiful lighting in the portrait as well. I guess when you're working, both these guys were artists. Veli was a dancer, and Tom first was playing the piano and studied at the Sibelius Academy. So they were like both artistic souls, and of course they were both gays as well, and in a society where it was illegal. So I think they were really, really important, of course, for each other, of course. And it was naturally a disaster for Tom when Veli died too young.
And I think a lot of people think that Tom of Finland was sort of a Casanova, but considering how long they lived together with Veli, then of course it proves differently, and they had a very strong relationship. And as we talked about that, all of those models on Dougo's photos are actually his dear friends and lovers and mates. So the next one is just as well. When we move here, we can see the two photos of Vicky, and of course then the drawing that is inspired of the photos. And Vicky played an important role when it comes to the international fame of Tom of Finland. Can you tell a little bit more? Why was Vicky so important?
Well, you see here Vicky as a very young guy. Vicky is still living in Helsinki. I hope he can see this at the net, or we see it later. Vicky was very essential for Tom during his last years when he was already quite ill. So Vicky was daily taking care of him, doing his shopping and his food and dinners, and helped him a lot with his everyday life. But also when Tom, together with his former partner and very close and good friend, Dirk Diener, the president of the Tom of Finland Foundation in Los Angeles, foundation that was founded by Tom and Dirk together, decided that he wanted to ship all his artworks from Helsinki to Los Angeles. Then Vicky was the one who was carrying all these things, taking it in hand luggage, because it was like pornographic. They were like pornographic pictures, so it wasn't. It was sort of challenging to transfer them from Helsinki to Los Angeles. But Vicky did a lot of that work, and so he was really close to Tom. And the drawing we see here. It's as far as I know, the last drawing that Tom ever made. At that time in 1990, just some months before he died, his hands were, this is what Vicky tells me, his hands were shaking sort of badly already because he was sick and old. So he decided not to draw, because in his drawings the lines are very important and they are like very precise, and they have to be very precise. They are like photographic drawings. But to his dear friend Vicky, he decided to make a portrait. And this is the preliminary sketch we have here from the Foundation's collections in Los Angeles. And Vicky has the final drawing himself in his home in Helsinki.
And it's intriguing that you mentioned that this photo or the drawing actually resembles the photo, because I think more than his other drawings, this really starts to resemble more of a photograph than a drawing. So it's funny how he never considered photography as a piece of art, but at the end it influenced very strongly actually his works, his drawings.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the one without the other one. They're really connected, very important. And I hope that the show, this first show ever on his photography, that it shows it, that look at these pictures, that without them there wouldn't be a Tom of Finland, never.
And moving on now to another very famous figure, and actually one of the favorite models by Tom of Finland. This is Arno. And Arno often wears a very skin-tight police uniform, and his figure has become a very big influence on a lot of his iconic drawings. So what can you tell us about Arno?
Well, Arno is, as you say, iconic. It's Tom's favorite model. He uses him a lot in different uniforms, different poses, and in this very beautiful vintage print made by Tom himself, you can see how he also works with the shadow. You can see Arno's profile in the shadow, and so who wouldn't say that the photographic art of Tom is as important as the drawing? You see, he does a lot of details also in the photos. Arno is wearing all the fetishist details that interests Tom in this picture, like the leather boots, the uniform shirt, and the harness, the leather harness, and the cap, of course, and the moustache, and polysongs, everything. He's perfect. This is really Tom's man.
When I look at this photo of Arno, I immediately start to make connotations about the music videos, and George Michael comes to my mind, and many artists. Is there a logic behind that? Did he influence the musical scene that much?
Yes. Not only the musical scene, but also like fashion. There are a lot of fashion magazines from the 80s, 90s, early 2000 that are really inspired by Tom of Finland drawings, and they are not only if you want to see it, it's really there. And the designers they tell us in the interviews that they really were inspired by Tom's work of art. So it has a bigger impact than inside the small subculture that it was made for. It's really important body of works.
And this influence is actually still going on, and maybe even in a stronger way. And this actually takes us to the next photo of Dirk Diner, who wasn't just a really dear friend and a lover to Tom of Finland, but was also his business partner, as he is one of the founders of Tom of Finland Foundation in Los Angeles. So if I'm not mistaken, he was also one of the first fans of Tom of Finland's work. Is that true?
Yeah, a very young guy found this work somewhere. Actually, I don't know where. Well, in the States, of course, and didn't hesitate to contact Tom, and did so. And that started first. This was after Veli's death. He started first a relationship. They were partners, and then the best friends ever after that. And Dirk has made. Or the most impact on the heritage of Tom of Finland is thanks to Dirk. Dirk is like guardian of Tom's art and the foundation and Tom of Finland Incorporated, and I think it's a wonderful story that it starts with life and then it starts with taking care of the heritage. And
it's maybe interesting also for our viewers to learn a little bit about What did Tom do before he actually started to earn a living with his artwork? Because it was only in very late 80s, I believe, that he fully could concentrate on making a living with his artworks. What did he do before?
Actually, he had two formal trainings. He studied. He was an art director in advertise agency, and also he was a piano player, pianist. He studied piano at the Sibelius Academy in Helsinki. So he had two artistical professions before he became an artist, and I think he enjoyed both of them actually. He worked together with his sister in McCann Helsinki, the advertising agency, as an art director. And in the 70s, he had such a big audience already and was very famous in the subculture of gays all over Europe and the States. So he quitted his jobs and worked and supported himself with his art.
You mentioned Tom's sister. It's interesting to know that actually no one knew, not even his family, that Touko Laaksonen was Tom of Finland. But isn't it true that his sister actually did know about the fact that his brother was gay?
Yes, I met his sister. She was still alive when I first started work with his art, and I met her several times and could discuss this thing with her. Actually, she shared the apartment with Veli and Touko, so this was like a menage a trois, like these three people living together. And they also traveled a lot together in Europe during vacations and summers, and so they were really close, and she was very close to Veli as well. But this what the Touko really did, and that he was this Tom of Finland guy, that the family didn't know that.
And of course, I mean, partly this must have been because he really wanted to protect the identity of his dear friends that he took the photographs of and that he drew. And of course, the society was not ready for none of this. And this is also one of the reasons why Touko had to actually develop all the pictures that he took himself in the let's say the comfort and the protection of his own home in Helsinki. And now when we move to this next picture here, which is actually the enlarged negatives, we can see a little bit how he used to work as well, because all of these red markings on the negatives are Touko's making. And this is how he selected some of the photos he wanted to use for the drawings or for whatever reason he needed them. And when we look closer to these negatives, we see really different characteristic items, again, the uniforms, the leather boots, etc. And I think it would be interesting to understand a bit better, where did his influence of using these things and the inspiration come from? Would you be able to explain us a bit more?
Yeah, this is a later concept sheet. So these are American guys. He made this in Los Angeles. But the concept is the same as before. We didn't just found earlier contact sheets. He was an officer in the Finnish army during the war, with well honored as well, with several medals. And during the first years of the war, Finland was in an alliance with Nazi Germany, so there were a lot of German soldiers and officers in Helsinki during the first years of the war. And he became friendly with these guys because they were like a long way from home and a long way from their families, and lonely, I'm sure. So he has told us in several interviews that he met these German soldiers and officers in cruising parks in Helsinki during the war, and he had a lot of sex with a lot of soldiers at that time. Because it was easy. It was easy for anyone to do that. And he was very fond of the German uniforms. He also tells us that when Finland lost the war against Soviet Union, then the Control Commission came to Helsinki with a lot of Soviet soldiers and officers. Then he just continued to cruise in parks, and then he met with Soviet soldiers and Soviet officers in their uniforms, and he was as interested in their uniforms as in the German uniforms. So it was not in that case at all like a political thing or a national thing. It was a fetishism about uniforms, that they are like very masculine and very handsome, and he really loved them, really all kind of uniforms.
When we look through the exhibition here, we really seldomly maybe find only one nude photo or a drawing. Then was that purposely, or why didn't he draw any nudes or didn't take photos of his models?
Well, this is speculation because I don't know. But there are no nudes, as you say. There's only one photo that's a semi-nude guy in a Finnish uniform. I think it might be because he destroyed all the nude pictures. If there were nude pictures, he destroyed them to keep the models safe, so that nobody could find these pictures. Or he wasn't just interested in them and to take nude pictures. But that we really don't know why. But these are all dressed up guys in the show. It's makes it I think more like a family show. It's not about. It's very erotic and it's very sexual, but it's not like provocative in that way.
And for the last image, we of course couldn't miss to include one of the drawings, and for this one we chose probably one of the most iconic ones. And when you come closer, you can probably recognize that we saw a few pictures ago a photo that resembles the drawing, which was of Arno. So can you tell us a bit more about this one, which is a preliminary drawing?
Yeah, if you remember the picture by Arno, because we showed it for a quite long time, you see that it's the same guy, yes. But Arno in the photo was relaxed, quite neutral, with a neutral face, neutral gaze, because it was like he was modeling. But when Tom translates this photo into a drawing, then he makes it explicit, erotic and sexual. The gaze of Arno here, his eyes is looking at us in a he's suggesting something. Either he invites contact, or he wants to have contact with you, and that's Tom's addition to the, or what he makes the addition to the drawing that's not in the photo, as you see here in the photo.
Yeah,
it's neutral.
Looking his different photos that he's made and also the drawings, then I find it very distinct that whenever you look at his drawings, you get a sense of sort of movie starts to play in your mind, because I think he's a brilliant storyteller. It doesn't so much come off with the photos, but whenever you look at a drawing, then you know your imagination starts to fly, and he really is a good storyteller.
I think he would be very happy to hear that from you. Yeah, yes, of course. That's what he wants to do. He also made a lot of comic strips, actually books where he drew like sequences, stories, and he's really, he has a lot of things to tell us, because he has experienced a lot of things. So, and that's what he's sharing with us. But he would be really happy if he could hear you, I'm sure.
Glad to hear that. We're almost coming to end of the tour, and before we start with our questions, we have actually 3 different call-ins, and we will take the questions shortly. But Bernd, can you maybe a little bit elaborate on what are your thoughts about Tom's fame? Do you think he's more known and famous in his native country in Finland, or is he more known in the United States or in LA in particular?
Well, he's well known in California and the States, of course. But I think, and I'm very surprised and happy for that people in Finland are very proud of this Finnish artist these days. It hasn't been for a long time, but the last 10 years, yes, everybody's very proud of him. He was one of the, when Finland had its centennial anniversary, 2017, one of the major official shows in Helsinki in Taidehalli was Tom of Finland, and there are official stamps made by him, and he was like everywhere, and this is new, and I'm really happy that Finnish people can feel proud of this very, very interesting artist.
And it's especially nice to have this exhibition now when we're celebrating this year on the 8th of May, his 100th birthday. So hopefully he would be happy about that as well.
Well, Ella, isn't it? It is as close to Helsinki as you can come, because in Helsinki there will be nothing. But in Tallinn, this wonderful show. So I really miss it because I cannot come from Stockholm and visit it right now. But I hope, because you have new plans for it, I hear.
We do, which we will reveal very soon. But first, if you're ready, Bernd, how about we take the call
Yes.
and hear some of the questions. Alvar, are you there with us?
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Ben. Hey, hello.
Hello, Alvar.
Should I just shoot the question then?
Please do.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Oh.
Interesting stories, interesting insights. I have another perspective to the thing. I mean, what I would like you to elaborate on. As a gay artist, we have seen the imagery both in pop culture and media everywhere around the world in last decades. But how do you think, what has been his influence on heteronormative world beyond the art that has been republished and everything that we know?
That's complicated, of course, but I think as a role model for gays, and I think that the large audience, if we, the majority, has to have had to rethink their prejudices about gays. That gay men can, or gay culture, gay men can also be very self-confident, very proud, and not hiding themselves, and just taking the place in society that's there for everybody. And I think this is what people have understood during the last 10 years, or the 2000, beginning of 2000, when he has become like a part of the canon of the contemporary art. Because before, these drawings were made for subcultures. They were not made to be shown in art museums and galleries. They were like erotic drawings for subculture, and now they are a part of the canon of art internationally as well. And I don't think anybody could disagree on that. They're part of our heritage now, and that's something that he contributed with, and we should be really grateful for that.
Thank you, Arval, for this really good question. I think we should have Henna joining us from Finland with a question. Are you there, Henna?
I'm here. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm from
Hi.
Finland. Hi. Yes, I do. So I was thinking, should I ask about Tom or about more about you, Bernd? And I actually decided to, as you're online now. So I would like to hear a little bit motivations. I understand that you found much more photos that are in the show or in the exhibition right now. What was the main criteria for you? That why did you choose the ones that you are showcasing now? And also a follow-up question, that did you get some restrictions from the foundation, that were there some photos that you were not allowed to include in the exhibition?
No. Actually, everything that we found, or I, and together with Dirk and Sharp in Los Angeles, is in the show. There were only these 130 photos that we for sure know that are by Tom. There were a lot of other photos, but we don't think that they are taken by Tom. They are like inspirational drawings, photos for him. So we show everything that we found, except some few very tiny outcuts where he cut them too much, so they are so small. But everything that we found is here in Tallinn now. There is nothing in Los Angeles that we know about. So we didn't choose anything. We chose everything.
And yeah, just to mention that when we talked about this earlier, you said as well that so many photos were destroyed, and most of them probably destroyed by Tom himself, once again in order to protect the identity of his friends and lovers. But I think we should now have Harry on the line. Can you hear us, Harry?
Yes, hello.
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 Hi.
We're ready for your question.
Well, thank you very much. So the first, I again would like to say to Bernd my compliments about this wonderful show, and this is really one of most important and sensible art exhibition this year in Estonia. So I think people are talking a long time about that exhibition, and I have several questions. So first, I would like to ask: did you get already any feedback about this exhibition in Tallinn? Yeah, from your colleagues or critics or from the audience?
Actually, not from the audience, but yes, from colleagues. Already in Australia and in Japan. So it has been noted. But of course it has been noted because it's the first ever. And nobody knew about this material. So it gives you another... Or you have maybe to rethink your picture of Tom of Finland, of Touko Laaksonen. He was a really multi-talented artist. As we discussed with Elo before, he was also a musician. But I'm sure that this exhibition in Fotografiska Tallinn now proves that he was a photographer as well. Of course, he was an art director in an agency, so of course he was used to work with visual art. But he was not only a drawer, but he had all other talents as well. And this I'm sure this exhibition proves that.
Thank you. For me, and these photographs of Tom of Finland have been also a really big surprise. And although that some of them have published before also in the catalogs of his works, and to see in large scale altogether, that's something else. And visiting several times this exhibition, I started to think about Francis Bacon from England, who also collected all kinds of clippings, the photographs and also drawings from the newspaper, and using them for his works. So I thought that what you think to curate, to make a show where are together the cuts of Tom of Finland and also cuts of Francis Bacon.
It would be really interesting to see them side by side and see were they really independent? Did they knew about each other and were they influenced by each other? I'm curious to see that. I haven't thought about it myself, but of course you suggest that. Well, let's try out if it's possible to do.
Thank you, Harry, as well. I'm really glad to see that our audience, the viewers, have been participating, and we've received quite a lot of questions through Slido. And I'm going to read a few out here so that Bernd and I can answer them. So I think the first one really goes to Bernd. The viewer asks, what would Tom say if he could see this exhibition about his art?
Well, we cannot know. So this is just me guessing. I think he never thought that he's a photographer, and he never thought that he would make a photo exhibition in a museum that's specialized on photography, like in world-class photography. I don't think that was in his mind. But on the other hand, he saved all these. He didn't destroy them, and he had Vicky taking them to Los Angeles to the Tom of Finland Foundation because he wanted them to be kept there, and he wanted them that people would see them, or else he would have destroyed them. So it's tricky, but I think he would enjoy it very much.
This question actually made me think about an incident that happened with the first exhibition that Tom of Finland had, and this was quite a traumatic experience for him. Can you tell us a bit more about what happened and why he didn't want to do any exhibitions for quite a long time after that first one?
Yeah, well, in his beginning of his career, he was working with subcultures. With his first publisher was a pornographic magazine in Denmark, and he made a lot of drawings for them and also comic strips. And at that time, he sent all the originals to Denmark, and he never got them back. And now Dirk Diener from the foundation has tracked some of them, so the foundation has got some of them. And this was in the 50s, 60s. They were early. And this was, of course, he asked to have them back, but he didn't get them back during his lifetime. So he was very disappointed at that. But he couldn't sue anyone. These were illegal things, and so he just had to accept it. And then he made an exhibition with original drawings in Germany, in Hamburg, where he had a big audience, also in a gay club. And he never got them back either, because they were at that time they were called like dirty pictures, like they were pornographic drawings, illegal. So they just disappeared, and he never got them back. And because for him they were really important works of art, so he was really sad after that experience in Hamburg. So it took a long time before he trusted people again, and sent his original drawings.
If you could only see us today enjoying, how many people are enjoying his art in beautiful art houses like Fotografiska. But taking another question now from one of the viewers again, which is really interesting. Has it been identified that Dogo did any autoportraits?
I haven't seen any, no. Not that I know, but I'll find out. I'm sure that the foundation in Los Angeles, they have full control. But I haven't seen. I've seen drawings, portraits of him by his sister, the one he lived together with. Yes, they're like beautiful drawings that she made, which also have been published later. But not autoportraits. Haven't seen.
We'll probably have a bit of time to take one last question, and one of the viewers asked that what are Tom's works' impact on gay culture today? And I guess this takes us maybe back to the Tom of Finland Foundation a little bit, because that's, I think, the main, let's say, source of his influence to spread from.
Yeah, they are the most important, of course, to keep his heritage. But on the other hand, several big art museums all over, like of course the museums in Finland, but also the Metropolitan Museum. The Museum of Modern Art in New York has works by him in his collection, and other big museums as well. So he's really considered to be part of the contemporary or modern art scene. The works, the themes, and in his drawings, they are also gay history. It's like this kind of gay culture doesn't exist anymore. It has changed a lot during the last year since the internet. And this kind of cruising in parks and things, it's rare. It doesn't happen that much anymore. So it's also, I think it's very important for young people to see what kind of life gays were living before the internet and during times where homosexuality was illegal. And it still is illegal in many countries. And so the fight and the struggle is not finished yet. And in this, I think in this struggle, his art can be very, very important.
Something that really struck me when I was watching the 2017 feature film about Tom of Finland's life was this sense of community. I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that the gay community was much more tighter and more unified at these hard times when the society made it very hard to be publicly gay. And I found that really beautiful in the movie. So I'm not sure if you resonate with that idea or not.
I do agree, of course. It's when you're oppressed and you really are a minority and not a part, you don't have the same rights in society that the majority has, then you really keep together, and it makes you, it's necessary, but it makes you stronger as well. And that kind of communal feeling, it doesn't exist anymore, not in the same way, at least in the gay community. That is true.
And it's maybe funny to bring a parallel now that hard times bring people together. I think we can all resonate with the fact that now with this difficult times that we're all facing all around the world, that we start to feel more united as people, hopefully, in a way, and we appreciate the things that we otherwise were able to enjoy on a daily basis and thought that came by default. And this is one of the reasons why I would encourage you also, if you enjoyed our tour, and I hope you did, then you can support us, the Fotografiska, by going to our website, Fotografiska Tallinn, and you can buy an online ticket if you wish. It's not obligatory, but we would appreciate it a lot. And as Bernd mentioned, we have some really good news. Together with the foundation in Los Angeles, Tom of Finland Foundation, we've agreed to extend the exhibition for 3 more months, which means that the exhibition will stay open until the 19th of July. And we truly hope that all of you get a chance to come here once we can open the doors again and actually experience the whole exhibition physically as well. Because today we made a selection of only a few parts of this exhibition, but there's so much more to see. So first of all, thank you so much, Bernd, for joining me, and thank you to all of our viewers. We really hope to welcome you back in Fotografiska very, very soon.
Thank you, Elo, and good news, wonderful. So everybody should travel to Tallinn now, when it's possible.
Let's hope so. Thank you, everyone.
Yep, thanks.